Welcome to the Midlife Pilot Podcast. We are glad you're with us. What is it like to become a pilot in your 40s and 50s? The challenges are unique for those of us in midlife, but so are the rewards. Hosts Ben, Brian, and Ted talk learning to fly, growing as pilots, and the joy of flying to destinations. The purpose of the podcast is not to teach, but to share knowledge and experiences of being a midlife pilot. Join the Midlife Pilot community and listen in every week. We are not CFIs or particularly intelligent, so if you want to learn how to fly, talk to anyone else other than the hosts of a podcast. Even this intro was too challenging for us, and we used a robot to do it. Okay, checklists are complete. Let's get the show started.
Welcome to episode 172 of the Midlife Pilot Podcast, where we share the experiences and challenges of flying in midlife. Today, we're live at Thaden Field. How's everybody doing?
I'm glad we picked a smaller room. It sounds huge. It does. It sounds like Wembley Arena.
There we go.
Yeah.
With me today, as always, it's my friend who lives under the soon-to-be Bachelorette Bravo, maybe. Currently the Bachelorette Super Charlie, I think is what we're calling it. He lives on Music Row. He's our chief, our guide. It's Brian Siskin, everybody.
Welcome. I'm very excited to be here for many reasons, but I'm just going to go ahead and I got to get this one thing out of the way. Is that okay?
Go.
All right. And we'll get to our third member here, but last fly-in, we were at Tango 82, and our friend Lewis over here, sitting right here in the front, he was relentless on me nonstop about me getting my instrument rating. And I, motivated purely by spite, have accomplished that by the next fly-in, so that when Lewis showed up, I didn't have to have a whole other conversation about why I still hadn't done it. Mark, what you got?
I was harangued nonstop about getting my CFI, and it was so bad. Like, he started before dinner. I went to dinner, came back, and he picked up as if time had not stopped. So I can relate.
All right, so we got a little ahead of ourselves. Ben, would you like to
Joining
introduce?
us to Brian's left, he's been a member of the podcast pretty much from the beginning. He's everybody's friend. He's based out of Charlotte. He flies a Cherokee 235, and he is Wendell Geek, also known as Wendell Geek.
I am substitute Ted. I tried to come up with a Ted impression, and all I could do was say, hey, yeah, hi. Yeah.
That's pretty good, actually. So we're glad everybody joined us not tonight. I'm used to saying that. Today is going to really be about you guys, and we're going to be passing the mic around. We want to hear what everybody's up to, but the first thing we want to ask is, who flew in the furthest? Who thinks that they flew in the furthest? I know that and that's your airplane. So can anybody maybe I think it could be Comanche Sue. Comanche Sue, can you stand up, please?
All right.
Yep, flew from Pompano Beach, Florida.
Wow.
Pompano Beach.
And how many hours was that to get here? Flight time?
8.6.
Nice.
8.6. Do you know how many miles? A lot.
Thousands. Tens of thousands.
Has anybody gone further than that to get here? Virgil? Okay.
Yeah, and if she's in a Comanche and she's in 8.5 hours, I mean that's fast, and it took a while, so it's got to be a long distance.
Thank you for being here, Comanche Sue, and also I would like everybody to thank Comanche Sue for being the seed that created this event by suggesting that we actually come here in the first place to Thaden Field. So we are live from Thaden Field today because of Comanche Sue's great idea. So thank you for that. And this place is just absolutely incredible. And we have to before we even move forward, we have to make sure that we acknowledge the staff, everybody here at Legends Air Center, Thaden Field. It has been written up as being the coolest airport in the country. And I think it's kind of living up to it. We've heard a lot of tales from folks here where they are instructors and they bring up primary students here. And so they do their training at Thaden Field in this glorious environment. And then they finally get into doing their cross country and they see what the rest of the aviation world
Then they go somewhere else and then it's all over. You're being spoiled. Yeah. There's no other field that you can go fishing off one end of the FBO. You can go tour a very impressive aerobatic manufacturing place at Game Bird. And the staff it's the most hospitable group of people that I've been at an airport. They've just been amazing. I'm just completely blown away. So thanks, Sue.
Yeah. And thanks for Philip here at Thaden Field and Michael and all the others. And thanks for everybody at Game Aerospace for allowing us to barge into their facility yesterday. And I'm still a little high from the whole experience. The fumes were really strong. And that only made it better.
They make those airplanes. It just looks like it wants to go fast. The way it sits on the ramp, it's amazing. So big shout out to Derek and his team at Game Bird. That was a lot of fun. We had a pretty big crowd there too. So I want to thank them. Also, while we're thanking people, we need to give a big shout out to Checkmate Barry. Barry at Checkmate Aviation. There's checklists. There were around. I think they're gone now, but he sponsored us having this lounge, this beautiful space. So please, Barry, thank you very much. We appreciate all you do. And he creates a great product. So we're happy that he's helping us out with that.
And anybody that's not familiar with Barry's story and Checkmate, go check out his whole bio and his situation. Cause it's really fascinating that you get into aviation in midlife. You decide that you need a custom checklist. So you contact Checkmate Aviation and you say, hello, I would like to have a custom checklist for my airplane. And they go, and can you help me with that? And then the next thing he said is he inherited all these 25-year-old Quark Express design files for him to do it himself. He basically, they said, do you want to just buy the company? And then he bought it.
He bought it.
So what a cool story. Yep. I would like to buy the company for anything that I buy. You know, I think that's just a good idea.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, so, and Mark, Wondle Geek, I want to make sure we give a special shout out to you in lieu of Ted, our good friend Ted. Ted really wanted to be here. He tried to get here. A lot going on, problems with Delta. Getting here from Portlandia was no small feat, and it just didn't happen. So we are very much missing Ted, but I have a surprise for you all. We're going to call Ted, and he might even answer. So that'll be cool. We'll talk to Ted here in a little while, but Wondle Geek stepping up to be he said, what do you guys want me to do?
I said, sit there and look pretty.
Well, that is an impossible task.
Well, that's what Ted does, but also Ted does bring more value. I shouldn't say that, but Mark's been supporting us for a long time, and
I'm not sure you really understood how that sounded.
Yeah, I kind of brushed over that when I wanted it to move right along. So
yeah,
but your flight over was okay?
Yeah, and thank you for hosting me. I flew down to Ben's place in Atlanta and got to stay over and let a front pass over so that I didn't have to fly through it, which was really convenient. Thank you for that.
How was the bedroom? Did you have a nice place to stay at Ben's house?
I have stayed in that bedroom 3 times, and it is lovely.
It's now called the Geek Suite.
Okay, you've got to come up with a better name than that.
It's after you.
Oh, okay. All right. I mean, it's your house.
Yep.
So the point is, and to anybody that's listening, if you're coming through Atlanta, Ben's got a spare bedroom. So
cheap.
And shout out to Terry, Ben's better half, who's here with us. I was immediately cued into recognizing her when I saw her shaking her head in a no-like pattern to what I had just said.
Which is kind of what I'm used to anyway. So no. And also shout out to Catherine. Mm-hmm. Your Brian's better half is joining us as well for good moral sport. So before we call Ted, do we want to tell them the story about the race on the way up here?
I do. And I think that it's important from a safety perspective, you know, that I think everybody hear this.
Yeah, I agree.
This is the part where I get thrown under the bus.
It's more about with our conversation with air traffic control, not with you. That's what I was talking about.
Okay.
Not us who got here first, but when Brian and I were converging.
We'll get to that though.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So why don't you tee it up? Why don't you tell us?
All right.
You do a better job than I do.
Ben flies, as you know, the Beast. It is a 182. and I fly a Cherokee 180, and one dull geek here flies a Cherokee 235. So what is the most efficient, intelligent thing to do when we're all leaving the same airport at the same time? Try to stay together for a minute. I'm like a moped on the interstate, and then you're like a Lamborghini in first gear.
I meant before we met up.
Oh,
with the air traffic controller and the Venmo.
wasn't this on that leg?
Okay. Okay.
No, that wasn't on that leg because I wasn't aware of it. I would have recorded it and we could have played it back.
Yes. So that's the leg before that. So let me tee it up.
All right, let's fix it again. Okay.
So Mark and I leave McCollum, and we all decided we're going to meet in Union City, Union City, Tennessee for refuel, and they were going to come from Nashville and go to Union City. I happen to look on my iPad and I see 5116 Lima, and we're just converging on the same airport at the same time.
That's me, by the way.
Yes. Okay. This is him. This is me.
Yeah.
And anyway, I'm on with Memphis Center, and then I hear Brian check in with Memphis Center. So now we're on the same frequency, and controller made a couple other announcements. And then I wanted to get Brian to switch over to the air to air, whichever one we were using. So I call up the controller and I said, Memphis Center, the plane that just checked in, 5116 Lima, is a friend. Can you pass on along a message? Can you have them switch over to 2275? And the center controller said, sure, 116 Lima, did you hear that? And then what did you say?
I said, okay, yes, I got that, but also tell 429er11 that
give him delay vectors.
I said, just so you know, controller, I said, I'm in a race with 429er11 to Union City, and if you could give him delay vectors, I would really appreciate it.
And then I came on and said, I will pay you. What's your and he said, my Venmo is. So we're going to try to pull the recording of that down.
Okay, but the best part of it's funny when you have a quick wit moment on the frequency because you're trying to not be on the frequency, but you're trying to land one, right?
Right.
You really nailed it because he said, I'll give you my Venmo. And because the way this went down is you said, well, I'll
pay you more.
I'll pay you more than 5116 Lima. And then this all came down to the controller saying, you can have my Venmo. And then and it came down to like Ben said, ready to copy.
Yeah. I'm ready to copy a number in the best possible way. So that's the story. The next leg was the one where we throw Mark under the bus, but I don't know if we want to do that today.
I was so eager to get to that part.
Please, let's go if you want to. It's our podcast. We can say what we want.
That's right. So
I'm going to put the mic down. You just tell me when the bus is passing over.
Yeah. There's the door. No. So we then all took off from Union City together at various speed capacity airplanes, right? And I went first because I knew that I was a lame duck in this whole scenario. Didn't take long. You guys were pretty much with me. And, we were carrying on frequency, and all of us, I don't know how you guys are, but if you're ever on air to air with people that are flying around you, and then you're also trying to monitor center, it's impossible to not screw up at least one time to broadcast something completely absurd to the center controller that requires an apology. So we were doing some of those things, but it worked out fine. Then,
so part of it is so Brian gets flight following. Was it Brian or Ben that got flight following first? I think it was
Ben
Brian.
Cut in line.
Yeah, I actually think Ben took off second and Ben got flight following first.
Yeah.
And then Brian comes on and says, I'd like to get flight following. And just FYI, there's 3 of us that are sort of
in the same area.
We're going to be tracking each other. And so, I wait for a moment to ask for flight following. And there's a moment I say, hey, 9070 whiskey, VFR request. Crickets. And then starts talking to somebody else. I wait for another moment. I'd like VFR request. And finally he comes back and says, okay, are you the third of the 3? I'm like, yes, I'm the third of the 3. He gives me a squawk code. And I can see Brian out the window at this point. He is
right there.
He's right there.
Yeah.
And I don't think ATC can see me. They cannot see me. So they say to me, reset your transponder. So I my transponder is a GNX 375, which is in the GPS. And so to reset the transponder, I have to power off the GPS.
Okay, hold on. I got to interrupt. That's close to how it went, but here's a little wrinkle that was, I think, especially funny that precedes the even funnier part, which is when you were trying to get the squawk, he came on and said, basically, I got nothing, but he didn't give you any other suggestions, thoughts, conclusion. It was just, sorry, I'm not seeing you. And then you come on and you're like, well, do you want me to cycle my transponder? Or like, it was the first time I'd ever heard a controller just go, well,
please go away.
I got nothing.
Yeah. He wanted you to go away.
Yeah. And
carry on.
I mean, it was also, it was a sequence of, I really don't want to deal with you. After being ignored multiple times, it was, I don't want to deal with you. But the consequence of turning off my GPS is I was feeding my autopilot from the GPS. So I didn't notice that the autopilot went into pitch and roll mode, which is its default mode when it loses its
navigation,
mind, for lack of a better purpose. And so I'm flying along. I'm looking out the window. I'm passing Brian. And then I notice I'm actually getting closer to Brian. Something is wrong here. And that's when I realized that I needed to correct where I was. So instead of doing what should have been the smart thing to do, which is, okay, get in heading mode, direct to, get the GPS set up the way I want it set up, I just said, go to nav mode. And so my GPS said, woof. And I'm like, whoa, I don't want that. And so I killed the GPS, hand flew. And then I'm like, okay, direct to nav mode. And then it swung me back to the right. Meanwhile, I don't notice this. I don't know. What was your experience?
My experience was Luke and I were in the front and we were saying, aren't you supposed to brief formation? And I was like, that's kind of a ball and move. You just came right over. And I just thought, that was so close. I wonder if he knows where we are, because typically you would brief these kind of things.
How close, really, how close was I?
Well, like I said to you in flight. Do you remember I said to you? I said, your left main is 2 PSI low.
I heard that one.
Yeah, no, I did not. I should have handled that differently. I came and apologized to him afterwards. And Katie says that wasn't intentional. Yeah, that was a bad moment.
That's how it goes. It would not be a fly-in if we didn't have one of those moments. Last year, Ted had the birds take off his pants.
Yeah.
Wheel pants, I should clarify.
Yeah.
So that was this time. Speaking of which, should we call Ted?
You guys want to call Ted? All right. We love Ted. Let's call him. All right. We still got a mixer.
Hello. You are live and with the group.
This call will be recorded. It's time to start the recording. Hey, peeps. What a wild event you're having there. And, usually you think that GA is the worst way to fly, but there's weather issues across the nation. And so I had quite the series of commercial flights too. So apparently when you get time to spare, go by air applies for every type of aviation.
At least this weekend. Yeah. So how are you, buddy?
I'm doing good. Yeah. Wish I was there. Glad to see the pictures.
Yeah. Well, we miss having you here, buddy.
I know. Yeah. Well, I hope so.
Well, so here's the problem, Ted. Like we were going to do, we figured out about 13 minutes ago that we're supposed to get index cards to hand out to everybody so they can ask questions. And we're like, that's what Ted would have done.
Yeah.
And there's been these 20 things that have happened that like, well, if we had Ted here, we'd have already thought about that.
Well, it takes the three of us to put on a functioning podcast. And even that is kind of questionable.
That's true.
Yeah. Absolutely.
We don't want to keep you, Ted, but you're sorely missed. And you did an incredible job of making it seem authentically that you were unable to be here. And well played.
Thanks. Hey, how was Gamebird?
It was incredible. Who all here went to Gamebird? All right. Yeah. I mean, it was It was really special to see all that and to see what you cannot have.
That's the wrong answer. We don't want him to feel bad. It was terrible. It was boring.
Yeah.
Those planes are ugly.
Yeah.
And you didn't miss anything.
Ooh, carbon fiber. Yeah.
And the formation flights that they do, that's not that big a deal.
Yeah.
You didn't
The
miss
formation
much.
flights that they've done and the two P-51 Mustangs that have been flying, it was terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds miserable. Yeah. No, I'm an adult. I am glad that you're having a good time. I wish I was there, but I'm glad that you're having a great time. It is a cool place, and I'm definitely going back soon. Yeah.
That's right.
All right, buddy. We're going to let you go, and we'll be hollering at you soon.
All right, everybody say bye, Ted.
All right.
You got it. All right. No, it is true. Ted is the glue that keeps all this together. And then when that glue fails, it is one dull geek that keeps all this together. So,
And Ted is super glue, and I am Scotch tape at best.
yeah, double-sided.
Not even.
Not even. So I would like to get the microphone kind of moving around here a little bit. We want to hear about some of your trips coming out here, challenges you may have faced, fun you may have had. Let us know also if we need to file another NASA report about Geek's behavior en route, if he may have affected you in your route.
Any brasher warnings out there that we can hear about? Anything.
Yeah. But all right, we got Lewis right here in the front. AJ's got a mic. He's just going to hold it. Okay, There we go.
So I flew a relatively new plane here, a tailwheel that I'm just getting familiar with, and taking off from Dallas, met up with Flint and Mark in southern Arkansas. And taking off, my elevator trim failed, or so I thought.
Really?
Elevator trim failed. So far stick forward that I flew for an hour and a half with my arms curled around the stick in order to keep it level. Okay? Got on the ground, just worried that that whole trip was ruined. Texted somebody who knew and said, look up and see if that switch up there is on trim authority front or rear. And it was on the rear. The entire almost hour and 2 hour leg. I've got 50 pounds of pressure on the stick. It's because of one switch. So anyway, that all's well that ends well, but that was.
So most of the time when people say, hey, you flew here, I bet your arms are tired. Well, your arms are tired for a completely different reason.
Yeah. Sorry if you're having trouble, I think, holding the microphone there. Jeez. Yeah. That's an incredible thing. You learn every day.
You're going to know about that trim position now from forever. You won't forget it.
Isn't it amazing, folks, how there's so many things that happen in flying in midlife. You start learning. There's so many things that happen exactly one time that you never, we'll call them the never agains.
That's right.
Yeah.
Anybody else have any good stories about their trials or tribulations getting over here?
By the way, Keith, I just want to say thank you for being here. Keith is, I think, emblematic in a lot of ways of the midlife pilot community, and I'm gonna dovetail this into shout out to OG Chris Moran. But Keith, a year ago we were at Tango 82 having a good time. Your plane was needing some repair, let's just call it that, and then you went through this whole saga. You had a lot of life changes, you had a lot of things going on. Your plane was problematic to the level of engine, I guess, and various things. We didn't hear from you for a while, right? And we would reach out every once in a while and say, hey man, hope all's good. People come and go from this. I think there's a lot of hyper pressure to just stay with it all the time. And sometimes getting away from it is, whether you want to or not, can be very healthy. But I'm just curious from your perspective, Keith, because you're back here. You didn't fly, or wait, you did fly here. You did fly here. So there you go, right? So you went through this whole peak and valley of the last year. So tell the group here a little bit about your experience and how that might help. Like if you had advice to help other people that have reasons to get away from aviation for a while, whether they want to or not, and then what it is to sort of reapproach and then to be here.
Yeah. So I appreciate you saying all that. This, aviation for me, my journey, I got my ticket like 2022 and it just, being midlife and I'd always wanted to fly and I'd always talking about it. And so finally my wife was like, well, you quit talking about it and here's a discovery flight and jumped right in, bought the Technum, did all that. And it just has become like such a I'm in the mortgage business, so there's ups and downs and so forth. And so aviation just really became, I felt like just really something that was like part of, I finally had a hobby. I finally had something to get me out of the house. And then I think I found you and Chris's show, like first 5 episodes or 10 episodes or something. And it just, I was like, wow, I really connect with these people where, and it's just, we're just talking about aviation, just like being open, being vulnerable, being, the Discord is just such an amazing place for people can just talk about their ups and downs and be very open with no judgment, which is really big for me and so forth. So last year, took my plane into Annual, just real quickly, and I knew the engine was kind of getting TBO, and then it just became this like comedy of errors, right? And so, and I had so much fun in Nashville and just getting to know this community, and I was just getting depressed and more depressed about it. I reached out to Brian. I think I put something on Discord, and Brian was like, "Well, I can come through North Little Rock," and then what's fun is that we had like the adventure of a lifetime getting down to Texas, and I mean we truly had this incredible adventure. But I was fairly I felt depressed down in Texas, but I enjoyed seeing everybody.
So this had already kind of started before even the last event. A little bit, yeah. All right. So and now we got to like sort of compress this a little bit because you have, oh my gosh, you've been through a lot. And we don't want to say anything that the tax man will hear. Okay. Okay.
So no, to sort of wrap up, so I ended up not flying for about 6 months. And it just got me really discouraged, and I quit listening to the podcast and so forth. And I finally just realized that I'm really missing something. So I put something on the Discord. I texted Brian, and it just got this energy back going. I finally got the airplane back, and this has just been so cathartic for me this week. And being in my backyard here in Bentonville, and it's just been amazing to see everybody going out flying. So I just really feel like mentally this group has been very important to me.
Man,
that's awesome.
That's really awesome.
Yeah.
I think that the psychology of that is super interesting to me because you tend to avoid something that you miss, and I wish that there was a better way, but sometimes that's maybe what you need to process or handle whatever that is. So I think it's just really interesting. And I was going to dovetail this to shout out to our friend Chris Moran, the original podcast host with me back in the early days. And Chris is a great example of somebody that's come and gone. And as much as he was an inspiration to me in the early days, I talk about this back in the 60s or something. Yeah. We were at the Isle of Wight festival, and right after Joni Mitchell played. No. So Chris inspired me also in the way of how to handle going to and from aviation. There's going to be good times. There's going to be bad times. There's going to be times where you just can't be around it. And sometimes it's absolutely okay to just put it all down, because I think we all tend to, and maybe you guys would agree. You tell me if you agree with this or not. Are we perhaps a little obsessive about aviation?
Everybody but AJ. AJ's not obsessed at all.
It's kind of all consuming. Right now, Geek is sitting next to me and he's doing performance calculations and weather briefings in his head. He's not even listening to what we're saying right now.
My wife would scream that from the mountaintops, that it is, if there's any obsessions, it should be with her, but it's really with aviation. So I'm obsessed with her too. So
nice. Well played.
Yeah.
Well played.
If she was up here right now, she'd say, put the shovel down. I'm digging my hole a little bit deeper and deeper as we go along. So,
well, so I just want to, anybody that's listening that has to get away from this for a minute, we're at this fly-in, we're at this amazing place, we're having a great time hanging out. But you know what we're also doing? We're dealing with the hard realities of this, which is we had a plan, and then there's aviation and weather.
Right.
So we moved this podcast up during the day, and then we're all ski-daddling early. So in that, we met, what was the fellow's name that was? Bruce.
He's sitting right over there. Shout out to Bruce.
Bruce, it was great to meet you today. Bruce has 3.3 hours of flying.
Would have been 4.1 had we not had the meetup here. So he can blame us for that.
He explained to us that his instructor taking him up said, look, there's this whole thing coming in this weekend. It's just going to be a mess. So, but Bruce, 3.3 hours. Just met him today. Now he's sitting here at a live podcast. He's missing out on flying because of us, but at least you're sitting here and that's nice. But a multi-decade meteorologist, professional weatherman, knows so much about weather. And so he's going to have a huge cheat code for a lot of aviation things that we didn't have. We all had to learn the hard way, which is to pretend like we know it. And so you actually know it, which is fantastic. But Bruce came up to us right before the show. And do you want to relay, or do you relay what he said to us?
He basically said, the winds tomorrow are bad. They're bad. There's a 50 knot wind shear at 2,000 feet. And you said a bunch of stuff about, and all I heard was, oh, dear Lord, that's bad.
Mark, while we were talking, the National Weather Service over in Tulsa, this is in their CWA, the county warning area, issued a high wind warning while we were talking on my phone. It came up. So I just read it to you. So I wasn't that smart really, but it looked like
The high wind is for tomorrow. You're referring at 1 a.m. Yeah.
Through Monday. And, getting out of here today, you'll have a great lift and everything is going to be great. But starting tonight through tomorrow, we're going to go from having a tornado watch here probably around noon, a line of storms moving through, and go from a tornado watch to having a snowstorm here tomorrow evening. So to go from today, which is absolutely, perfect, to what we'll see tomorrow.
I got a feeling this kind of feels like Atlanta sometimes, like in the spring. It goes from 45 degrees on St. Patty's Day to 85 the next day and all the stuff associated with it. But no, thanks for helping us out with this.
I have one comment. I was sitting here thinking, I'm still measuring my flight hours in decimals. And so 3.3 hours, and I have a 22-year-old flight instructor. I think I found a new home here. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much.
So just so you know, it's 1350.4. The decimal never ends. You're going to keep on tagging that on throughout your whole
I'll let my wife know about that. Thank you.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah, think about how much money you've saved by just only flying 3.3 hours in your whole life.
Actually, don't think about that because you're going to fly more anyway. And so you might as well just let it happen.
Yeah. Well, and so AJ, you have a mic over there, right? So we would like to hear from you. Now, describe to us how you got here, who you are, and why you're so special to us.
Ooh, that's a complicated answer, I think.
Yes, it is. AJ is a great friend of the show. Thank you for always helping us out, man.
Yeah. So Ben and I became friends via the Opposing Bases podcast, just to further complicate this whole thing.
Twisted triangle.
Yeah. So a friend of ours in North Carolina told us that we flew out of the same airport. Turns out our airplanes are basically nose to nose on the ramp. The day after we were introduced, we went flying together, became fast friends very, very quickly. And through that, got to be kind of a very close watcher of the process as Ben joined this podcast and got involved with it. And so I kind of tagged along with Ben through that. In my own side, I've become a co-host on the Airline Pilot Guy show for the past couple of years. Got to know Captain Jeff from that. Great guy. Just kind of have one of those relationships where we just kind of click and have enjoyed that. So get to talk about some aviation news and happenings and things like that. How I got here was a 182, similar to Ben's airplane. Not quite as many Herspers, but it scoots along okay. New engine, which was mildly panic-inducing. If any of you have ever done a long trip with an engine that's got 7 hours on it, it's a thing. And so brought a couple of my friends and fellow flying club members, and we all piled into the 182 and at near gross weight and near.
I will point out that you poached my passenger.
I did. I did. And then you still followed him to my airport.
This is true.
And he still didn't get in the airplane with you. So I don't know what they're saying.
This is true. I wonder what sort of back channel communications happened.
So here's what it reminds me of. And I was having this conversation with somebody, and I apologize that I can't remember who it's with, but I was referring to your video on your YouTube channel on Ocracoke Island. And when the mechanic peeled away from your airplane and got in my airplane
No, that was a huge early lesson for me. I've probably told this story before, but let's just run it back real
I know,
quick.
but Chuck peeled away from Geek's plane and went into AJ's plane, but I felt they were parallel to each other.
Yeah, because so in Ocracoke, I had a plane stuck there. We were an hour south. Ben flies me back up to Currituck. The next day, we get a mechanic on a Saturday to come fly down with us an hour south the North Carolina coast, get back to this plane that's stuck at Ocracoke, which is basically a porta-john and some asphalt for an airport.
It is the exact opposite airport to this place.
Right. Yeah.
It has nothing.
Yeah, absolutely nothing. And he comes down, he does his thing, he fixes the plane. And so it was just that plane and your plane at this little airstrip. And then it was time to fly back to Currituck. And I'm just kind of nervous. You know, is he sure this plane's good? I don't know. And I really was thinking, well, at least he's going to be flying back with me so he can monitor, you know,
if something goes wrong,
what's going on. And then I see him packing up his bags and I'm thinking, oh, I need to help him, you know,
make space for him in your plane.
Yeah. And then as soon as his bag got closed, he started walking, beelining for your airplane.
Yep.
It was not even a conversation about who am I flying back with. And so here I was, just left to my own devices. And you guys had to fly in slow, because I said, well, can you at least just fly with me so that, you know, you can tell people
if the plane goes down, I can tell safety and rescue where you're at.
So then you're in the 182, you know, with like 3 notches of flaps and slow flight, you know, like doing a falling leaf, but just barely, you know, and I just flew along the coast and I kept thinking about every little bit of the beach, you know, just like, why is that one lady out there? Like, if you just move. But anyway, so you learn a lot when the mechanic says, all right, well, she's good. I'm going to go fly in the other plane. It was just, there wasn't even a conversation.
No, you were kind of like standing there like going, but like, wait.
It wasn't until we got back to the FBO at Currituck. And then it was kind of like, I was like the little brother that, you know, all the big brothers had left and playing, you know, on the bikes had to kind of left the little brother behind because I came in there like, guys, you know.
And then to put an exclamation point on it, then Guy took a commercial flight back home and wouldn't fly back.
Oh yeah. My Australian friend said, I'm good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Too funny.
Have you guys ever had passengers just say, I'm checking out. I don't want any more of this? Well, Mark, you say that your wife likes turbulence.
She does like turbulence. I don't like turbulence. I find it difficult to fly in and I get nervous about being past VA. And she's like, can you find some turbulence? And I'm like, no.
Can you find some?
No, I cannot. I am not looking for turbulence.
Well, it's been very interesting, I think, in the light of the conditions changing that our new friend, we gotta come up with a cool nickname for you. Like, I don't know.
Who are you talking about?
Like 2 dull geek? No, but the weatherman.
Oh, Bruce. Yeah.
Like,
Bruce, I'm sorry, you don't have to listen to the podcast, but you're now part of the community. Whether you really want to or not, you've been indoctrinated.
And I want your number because I have weather questions all the time.
Do not give him your phone number.
Bruce, come. You know, he wasn't serious. Come back, Bruce.
Or charge by the hour. Yeah. That would be my suggestion because he'll pay.
The other thing, by the way, that Bruce said that I think is interesting is being on television in the 80s and 90s as a weather person, right? And then in the dawn of forecasting and forecasting changes, it used to be this thing that's really on you as a weatherman and your community is looking at you on television. That's their source of weather. And if something goes wrong, it's kind of your fault. and the forecast windows were so tight because of modeling and how things worked back then. And then he was explaining how, you know, now we give these very, very protracted outlooks that we still can't count on.
Bruce said that farmers used to call him up and say, my cows are thirsty. Like you have control over when it's going to rain or not. And so I just thought that was.
So I think in light of all of that, with our spouses here, which is a new, unique twist this time around and the best twist ever. So glad. But it has also shaped some of the weather planning considerations, you know, because your wife, I think, is possibly the only wife that is asking the pilot to seek out turbulence. Unless somebody else here has no. Okay. So that's just, she's a thrill seeker.
That's true. I mean, by evidence of the fact she married me.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So then my better half here is not a fan, right? Would you say not a fan? Yeah. We did this one flight. I did a very carefully planned, timed flight. I was really determined to take her a longer distance and let's go to the mountains of North Carolina, see some family, whatever. And it was about a 2.5 hour flight each way. And I dialed this in to where it was only going to be when the conditions could not have been any more calm. And we flew for 2.5 hours all the way there in the mountains, everything. No problem. Not the slightest bit of turbulence or bumps or anything. Land, spend a nice time there. And then we come back the next day or whatever it was. And it's smooth again. I'm just thinking, oh man, home free. We're going to make it. And I'm coming over the very last mountain ridge. And I'm silently in my mind just thinking, all I need is just one more ridge. I just need this one more ridge. And then I'm home free. And then it happened. And it was
you tempted fate, didn't you?
It was just one wave of turbulence that took the entire plane and turned it to about a 45, 50 degree, 60 degree bank immediately, and then put it right back down. And then it was totally smooth. And I'm thinking, okay, it was sort of like the plane did a skateboard trick. And then I look over at her and it wasn't good, was it?
It was called the Cherokee Ollie.
It was sad. It was very sad. Yeah, you're getting better. But it was just so funny because
So what you should have done is did what I did. I took Terry up I wanted her to get used to it. So I went on when I was doing my private training, we were doing steep turns and touch and goes, which is the worst place to be if you're in the backseat of the airplane and doing steep turns. And it wasn't until like after we've done all the steep turns. We did like 3 or 4 touch and goes. And she's like, is this almost over? I probably could I could go back now. And we're like, oh, we forgot you were back there. So if she can handle that, then she's one of the best passengers. I'm planning for smooth air and I'm trying to do everything. She's like, I don't care.
I think there might be a strategy that, how many of you in your private pilot training invited your spouse to be a passenger during any of your training? Anybody?
There we go. We've got some hands up.
There's a good handful there. You did also with me. I'm not sure that's a good idea.
Yeah. Do you want to comment how that went with, or Alyssa, maybe.
Yeah, I raised my hand because I invited her. She did not accept. But I did invite.
Got it. It makes perfect sense.
Alyssa, you seem to have a good sensibility already for this.
Yeah.
When my better half went up with me for training, it was probably the worst idea ever because it was very hot and I was learning how to land. And so we were just in the pattern. It was just brutal because I did not know how to land either. So just maybe be strategic with that. Now, Captain Todd has his hand raised. Let's hear what he's got.
So, I know on the Discord we have when you have a milestone, right? And I didn't get to do it because I just did the milestone, which was my girlfriend flew up here with me. First time she's gone cross country with me. In fact, the first time she flew with me was 2 days before that, just to make sure she could fit in the airplane, that she'd be happy about it. And here's what I've learned, and I've been thinking about it since I've been listening to you all talk about this. There's no upside. There's only that, like, if anything goes wrong, it's on me for the rest of my life, right? And you're talking about the 7-hour engine and all that, and I'm just thinking, man, if this thing coughs twice, it's on, like, I will never live that down. And so you gen it up in your head where you're like, okay, this is going to be amazing. And she's finally going to see I'm a pilot. And she's going to think he's the greatest man in the world. And I'm like, none of that happened.
Right.
Like, we just landed and she was like, where's the car?
Yeah.
And no, like, I thought that was amazing. And did you come in on, did you adjust for crosswinds? None of that. I heard nothing like that. And now I'm thinking, flying home, what if it happens?
So I'm gonna go a little bit beyond that though, and you have to look at it from a different perspective. I can get from Atlanta, my wife to the beach in an hour and 45 minutes instead of a 5-hour drive. you gotta play the upside to everything. It's a time machine. That's what you got to sell her on.
That was the trip because her brother and sister-in-law live up here. So
Gotcha.
we got it would be an 8-hour drive from Jackson.
See, there you
up
go.
here, and it took 2 hours. But the other problem is it's the most boring 2 hours you've ever been in an airplane. And so none of that happened either. I'm like, there's a Mississippi River and then nothing else until we got here.
I did have an experience recently interacting with my wife where she said to me, "You haven't flown me anywhere since July. Take me somewhere." And I just about did a backflip.
Yeah.
Now, where did you take her?
I haven't taken her somewhere yet. That was just last week, and I was already booked.
Oh, that's so funny.
We'll have to find that out. So, what about anybody else have any questions, comments,
Thoughts?
concerns, poems,
Feelings? No? Shy people today? Virgil's always got something. Come on, Virgil. By the way, check out Virgil's channel, Plain Places and Adventures.
Yes.
And Maddie's here also, and they're fun to watch.
Yes, they are.
Well, thank you. And really, actually, it's a shout out to Keith for really good local briefings. So briefed us into how to get into Gaston's, which is a cute little strip right on a river down in a twisty valley. And I'm pretty sure even though I'd watched the Oz videos that, without his sort of chair flying it with us, it would have been a lot harder to find. So again, that's the community benefit of knowing pilots, whether they're local or not in your local area. It's always good to pass that around. I had typical vintage airplane woes coming up with my nose strut, but FBO here got it topped off with nitrogen nicely yesterday. So like everybody else, we're looking at the weather and probably going to bail out here this afternoon.
So very good.
Yeah. And Lewis, your new Carbon Cub, can it handle 50 knot wind shear or?
Yes, one time.
What I want to say, Lewis, I gave you some grief, which now I'm transferring to Flint over here because, yes, Flint, it's time for you to get your instrument written done and your instrument rating. And he's leaving. Okay, there you go. Yeah. He knew this was coming.
Yeah.
No, these guys have been super helpful to me and a support group for me. And Lewis is a great example, I think, of a lot of people that you run into in aviation that when you run into people like that, you need to keep them close because they will help you at any time. This is one of my favorite things about aviation community and culture is there is just this intrinsic desire to help other people. And Lewis, you're an embodiment of that. You really helped.
100%.
You didn't just tell me to get my instrument rating. You helped me do it. And so I really appreciate that. And then now you just had to one up everything by buying a tail wheel. So now, okay. So
everybody drink.
Yeah. There we go. But you're a mensch in that way. And I really appreciate it. And I try, and I think we all try in our own ways to give back or to help people or to be a facilitator in any kind of way. And, Flint, if you can just get it together, man. No, Flint, you're dealing with the same thing that I was dealing with, which is instrument is hard. It takes time. It takes focus. And when you've got a life and a lot of things going on, I mean, I didn't have a life, but you do. And it's hard it's something that requires a lot of hyper focus because we only can contain so much. Our RAM is dwindling in midlife. And so it's hard to keep all that stuff ready access. And so you gotta be really, really up for it. How many people here have instrument ratings? Wow, that's a lot. Yeah.
I am just kind of amazed at how quickly you went from stop bothering me about the instrument rating to bothering people about the instrument rating.
That's right.
That happened.
It's a great call out, Mark. Great call out.
Guys, I want to clarify. I'm only bothering Flint, not anybody else.
Yeah.
I will show absolute grace and compassion to anyone but Flint. Who of those who have their instrument rating enjoyed the process of getting their instrument rating? See, that's about half. It's about half. Yeah.
But let's keep in mind, I did it in 2019, and I think there's just some memory lapse and some blacked out memories of what I didn't like about it and only remember the good times.
Yeah. And also you were using an abacus. It was a whole thing. Yeah.
I went back and took ground school intentionally again because I thought it was fun.
That's on brand, Mark. That's well done.
Well, the next thing I just want to make sure that everybody understands and knows is that all of this podcast that we've been doing weekly for, I don't know how many years now. We're coming up on 3 or 4 years or something. Yeah. And we were on a streak of doing this weekly one way or the other for a long time. It takes a lot for us to even produce that.
Right.
And to come up with the ability to speak, which sometimes is fleeting. Ben and Ted and obviously Mark, even with Mark not on the podcast, he's behind the scenes working all these things all the time. And all of that is made possible by Patreon supporters. So we're not in this we just want to keep this thing ad free and make it a podcast that we would want to listen to, that is not overly structured or overly produced and is humanistic and natural and not, I don't know, sponsor laden kind of feeling like, I don't know, somewhere like a long commercial. So thanks for supporting us on Patreon because you're the ones that keep it ad free.
It's really awesome every time we've done this, and it's grown a little bit each time, but I love seeing the familiar faces that come through. But every year there's new faces, that Comanche Sue and Philip, and there's Todd. We saw Captain Todd last year. It's just, it blows me away. And Bob coming in from California with you guys have been supporting us. Falcon Kurt, you've been around it's just so great to see it. It warms my heart. I thought when we first started deciding what the cadence of the podcast was going to be,
he thought it'd be way less.
They said, we're going to do it weekly. And the first thing that came to my head was like, God, that sure does sound a lot. But I'm sitting here telling you right now, it's my favorite part of the week. I can't wait to record the next one. And it's largely in part to you guys. So I want to say thank you.
Yes, thanks. Also, I've had a few people come up to me over this last couple of days that have said that it has been helpful to them in some kind of way. And honestly, all of this effort to make anybody, for you, Keith, to sort of help you kind of come back to aviation or whatever.
Bruce starting in aviation.
Yeah. Well, he's captive audience. He just showed up at this building. And it's not the same. He's look how he's swiveling in that chair. He's so ready to go.
Yeah.
It just would be awkward in this environment for him to be the only person getting up and leaving. No, but it's something that is really meaningful to us, but I just want it to be clear that this is not about us. We're sitting here with microphones, but this is really about you guys. And we want to do as many helpful things as we can do and as much storytelling as we can do to bring your stories to light and to use it as a mechanism to give Flint grief. So, so Flint's like, okay, that's 3 times. That's 3.
Luke,
3 times.
You got something?
We have an anonymous question that's asking, when are we going to get the all wives on the episode question?
What was that?
When are we going to get the all wives episode? When all of you have your wives on? None of you.
Instead of us.
Yeah, instead of you.
Instead.
Or just in partnership and see how that goes.
I think that should just be its own parallel podcast.
I think, yeah.
Wasn't there a proposal for a midlife knitting podcast?
Erica Gilbert, who's here somewhere. Yes, she is a CFII weather expert.
They're knitting right now.
She's knitting as we speak.
Yes, that's how exciting we are. She's pulled out the needles and the yarn, and we're at ASMR.
Yeah, she's like, this podcast is 1 mitten long.
I like the idea, and I don't think Catherine or Terry would mind coming back on.
All right.
And maybe we just do them, and it's just call it the Pilot Wives, midlife Pilot Wives.
This is the worst idea imaginable. Even just as a thought experiment, it's already causing me anxiety. So I want to also give a special shout out to our friend Erica, who's knitting in the back.
Yes.
You have been instrumental. Yes. Thank you. Thank you for cheering on Erica, because you have been so helpful to me getting my instrument rating, to me understanding what weather is and that it's important. So many safety things. You're one of the people that I will reach out to if I just want to have an answer about something that from a trusted source. You are massively helpful and have been for a long time. Friend of the show. We talk about you obviously all the time, but for a reason. And so special thank you to you. And it's so nice to have you here. And I'm now going to come up to Lexington, Kentucky on a weekly basis. And we are going to hang out just all the time.
And you had an annoyingly good landing that we were trying to give bad ratings to, but couldn't.
Yeah, you greased it coming in here in that TBM. I have video of it. You're like, okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But we're not going to hold that against her.
No.
We want her back. So anything else?
No. I mean, so lastly, thanks again for everybody being here. It truly means a lot. It's the reason why we do this. And so we will do it again. If you have an idea or a thought about where we should do this again next year around this time, but maybe a little bit later. April seems to me.
April may be a little bit better. Yeah.
Yeah. We needed to time this one around spring break for unspoken reasons.
Yes.
But anyway, so Geek, do you have any things that you want to make sure you get off your chest before we're done?
No.
Okay.
That sounds like a lot.
Okay, everybody, safe travels. If you're flying, don't get theiritis. Take your time, do your thing, do your checklist. For those driving, I'm sorry. And nothing else from you, my friend Brian?
No.
Okay.
Thanks again, everybody.
So today's bit of wisdom comes from my eldest son. Shout out to Adam. He sent me this. A beef Wellington is just a corn dog from a different socioeconomic background. Signing off, episode 172 of the Midlife Pilot Podcast. Goodbye.